All right, so there's been a lot of talk out there about AI and how it's going to impact music. Rick Beato's done a pretty good video on it, and it's really gained a lot of traction. And I've done several videos on it in the past, but I originally had completely different thoughts on the way I see it today. Today, I'm going to kind of make a case where I don't think any of us need to be concerned in the slightest bit, and I'm going to paint a picture why I think that. So this is not a video where you can just listen to 2 or 3 of my points and then walk away. You got to tie it all in together, right? Without that, you're wasting your time. So if you don't have time to dedicate to that, then probably move on to someone else and get your opinions that way. It's all I can tell you. This channel's up for straight shooting, and straight shooting is all I know. I think there's one important element that has not been considered here, and I think it's probably one of the most important aspects of really how is this going to affect us musicians, people who write, record, anything associated with music. How is it going to impact us? And is it going to be doom and gloom? I think there's a lot of segment of the population where there's a lot of that's going to happen. A lot of jobs are going to be eliminated. A lot of things that historically paid well, you're going to find yourself out of a job. And if you're a little bit later in life, that's a little hard pill to swallow, right? So adaptability is going to be key. So is adaptability going to be key when it comes to AI in the music world? I want to talk about that in just a second. But before I do that, I sponsor my own videos. I don't do anybody else. I sponsor my own videos. I've got a side business called artisanwoodshed.com. You can go there, www.artisanwoodshed.com, where I make enclosures for various control surfaces and various pieces of gear to make it more ergonomic so you can actually see what you're doing so much better. The reviews have been off the chart. Every single review I've received on all of them have all been 5-star. Everyone has raved about them. Not only do I do that, put it in a good way of looking at it, but I also ultimately make it beautiful. I use gorgeous, really high-end hardwoods exclusively. And that's expensive. If you know anything about the price of wood, that's expensive. I make them out in my wood shop. I got a detached garage. I make them out there. I'm a one-man show. I do it all. I just finished a prototype yesterday for Avid's S1, and I've got the dock worked out as well. So I encourage you to go take a look at that, www.artisanwoodshed.com, and see if I have a solution for you. That said, there's affiliate links down below. If you're going to buy something from Sweetwater, use that link, put whatever you want in your cart. Buy it, I get a small cut of it, okay? I do not do paid videos. I've never done any of that here. I never plan to ever do that. Get the same thing for Toman if you're over across the pond, okay? So ultimately, if you do that, I appreciate it. And let's get back to AI. And do we have a reason to concern? And what is that one thing that I really kind of see that I planted? And that is human nature. I think everyone is completely taking that out of the discussion. I think we're underestimating humanity. Look, we've always had generic, and we always will have generic cookie cutter songs out there. We've had it in pop music for decades. Country music is almost exclusively that. To find a pop artist and a country music artist that actually write their own songs and record and perform them, there are those out there that do it, but they are a very tiny, tiny percentage. You've got these group of songwriters that get into a room and they know what pattern people like. They know what chord structure people like. They know what keys they like them in. If you think about it, most songs are in certain keys, and there's only so many chords you're going to do to that. And so when it comes to that, we've always had that. Now, how is AI any different than that? Really, how is it any different than that? I'm only talking music so far. I'm not talking about the singing or anything. I'm only talking music so far. How is AI any different than any of that? It is not. It is not at all. So why do people love these styles of music knowing that the people performing them had nothing to do with their ultimate creation? Yes, they added to those songs with their vocal technique, because that's what most of this is, sure. But let's face it, country music, doesn't every song basically sound the same? Nah, I like country music. I like all music. But come on, most of it sounds the same. And so We've always had that, and really AI is not doing that any different than we've already had. So yeah, but people keep navigating to it. They keep getting enthralled into it. They want to be engaged with it. Well, let's look at other styles of music out there where, like predominantly in rock music and metal music and alternative music and progressive music and blues and everything else, all that stuff is really written mostly by the either a member of the band or whoever, but it was written by people in that band to perform that song with that band. And we love them for different reasons. So if we love the natural, homegrown, from the ground floor up, really creative style of that style of music, but at the same time, we can pop on and listen to something that is as cookie cutter as all get out, what's really the difference there? Ask yourself, what is really the difference? And it's human nature. It's human nature. It's like movies, right? We've kind of seen those. Hopefully you've seen them because they're hilarious. You know, these gorillas that are AI created. They're absolutely hilarious. I see them on Instagram and TikTok, social media and things like that. And I get a kick out of them. And I couldn't stop laughing when I first started watching them. And now I've kind of become numb to it. Because it's all right. You know, it's still kind of cute and funny, but I don't get as excited with it anymore. Think of when CGI first came out. For those that have been, above ground for quite a long time, like myself, you saw CGI first evolve, right? And everybody was fascinated with it. Well, today I think most people get sick and tired of CGI. It's overdone. Everything's freaking fake. We want real. How is that going to be different in the music world? How is it going to be any different? Think about what people like to do. People like to have a connection with their favorite musicians, their favorite artists, their favorite movie stars or whatever. They like to be engaged. Just think about how people follow the Kardashians and all that nonsense and all this other stuff. You've got TMZ, which basically goes around and does nothing but talk about those things, right? Because people like seeing what they're doing. It's the excitement of being able to be rich and popular and famous, and people just navigate to that. I've certainly had throughout my life certain musicians and certain bands that I would have given anything in the world to get to meet. Today at my age, I really don't care. I don't care. I mean, there's certainly plenty out there that I respect and wouldn't mind having a conversation with, but I wouldn't look at them any different as I'm looking at you or myself or anything else. They're just another person. I don't get all enthralled by that nonsense anymore. But most people do. Ask yourself, where is somebody going to go out and spend money on a ticket to go see AI perform live? Where's that going to happen? Ask yourself, we're going to just go to the movie theater and watch it there? Okay, you may see they're going to come up with robots and all this stuff. Yeah, okay, so what? But those robots don't freaking have lives. There's nothing to get excited about. There's no humanity actually playing the instruments. So why get all bent out of shape about it? It's going to get something that's going to be abused out of control, kind of like the gorilla movie or segments or comedy or whatever it is, whatever you can call that. I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy it, but I'd rather see real comedians doing it. But still, I mean, I can laugh at other things. If I can laugh at a cartoon, what's the difference of laughing at a cartoon and laughing at that? No difference whatsoever. Okay. So I don't think you need to worry about anything, but is AI music, is it helpful for those of us who are involved in the creation of music? Yeah, it is. Let's just say you're a guitarist. And, everybody goes, if you're a guitarist, you probably go on YouTube to find out the backing tracks and listen to those backing tracks and things like that. But that may not be the style you're looking for. Well, you can go into one of these AI music generating things, and you can basically tell it kind of the vein of what you're looking for. And now you've got automatic backing tracks, so you can practice your soloing and things like that. You can tell it to do whatever key changes you want, however you want it to do. You can basically tell it to do it, and it'll do it. So now you've got these killer backing tracks. So for something like that, absolutely fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Look, there's not a lot of bands out there anymore like there were when I was young. I mean, I knew probably 30 people that were in 30 different bands when I was in my teenage years and my 20s. I knew a lot of those people, right? They were everywhere. But they're not as much anymore. They're still there, but they're not as much anymore. So you may not have access to other musicians. So you may want to try something out. Maybe you're a singer, okay? And you want to practice writing lyrics. You want to practice on your melody creation. You want to practice on those things, right? So you tell AI to create a song in this key, blah, 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 whatever you want it to be, whatever style you want it to be in. And then you practice writing lyrics to that music. And then you practice working with different, changes within your melodic structure of the whole thing as you're singing it. You try different things. You find out what works for you, what you navigate to naturally, and what you don't, because you may not have access to those other things. You probably don't even play an instrument. And even if you did, to find somebody that was really united with you in the same way, even harder, right? So I think it's a great tool for that. So use it for these things. Use it for those things. I mean, look, you go on either Google or you go on Safari or whatever on your mobile device or computer or whatever, and you search for something, you get the AI generated answer. And what I've found so far is that AI generated answer is the most complete answer you're likely to find. It's fantastic. So use it for that, And so there's a lot of creative things out there. Like right now, right? I talked about my woodworking before. I've got my CNC machine out there. Well, some of the base feet mounts cracked on me earlier today, so my CNC machine's kind of down. Well, over there in the kitchen, I've got my 3D printer, and I'm printing out those feet again. And they'll be just as strong or better than the original. And I can do that from here. And it just appears out of nowhere. It seems like it, but of course now I know how it works. It doesn't really do that, but ultimately you can create whatever you want. I needed an adapter for my hose because I had to send my Festool sander back to get warranty on it, and I had to go back to an old DeWalt. And once you've gone that, man, it's hard to go back. But anyway, my dust collection hose wouldn't fit, and it kept falling out. So I went online, I found an adapter for it, I 3D printed it, bam, boom, bam, bada bing, bada bong, bada bum, blah, 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 whatever, done, right? Fantastic. You learn how to use these tools to improve your ability to get the job done. And so I think there's a great opportunity for AI when you look at it like that, because AI is just going to continue to spit out generic music, and people will listen to it. They will get into it for a New York minute. But now when there's no human being with a heart pumping and a life that's dramatic and exciting and all the things that may or may not be in your life or their life or whoever's life, they're going to say, no, I'd rather go back to this. Just like I got 5 kids, all the way from 40 years old, all the way down to twin 19-year-olds. And my twin 19 and my 21-year-old son, they listen to more 70s music than they do today's music. Go figure. I wonder why. It's no different. Human nature. I've made my case. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Only time will tell if I'm right or if I'm wrong. I think I'm right because I think I'm a pretty good judge of human nature. It's one of the things I get fascinated with. I like to think about and figure out what makes people tick, because if you can understand what makes them tick, you're more than likely have a much better chance of being able to help them understand something you're trying to communicate. Food for thought. Think about it. Whatever. Don't forget to use those affiliate links. You're going to buy something. Help a guy, okay? And go check out www.artisanwoodshed.com. I think you'll find there's some pretty cool things in there. If there's something that you'd like to see me do that I'm not doing yet, just use the contact page. Send me an email. Let me know. And I'll see if that's something I can do or not, okay? But again, I've got them for Soft Tubes Console 1, both the faders. I've also got it PreSonus Fader Port 8, Fader Port 16. I've got it for the Nectar CS12, I think, something like that. And I'm working on the Avid S1 and the S1, or Avid S1 and the Avid Dock. And I'll have those out in a couple days, okay? And so that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to all of that. You can see back there, I know you can't see it, but there's my soft tube one right there. I got many different configurations. Go check it out, www.artisanwoodshed.com. Again, I've never been paid for a video. No outside source is ever going to impact my viewpoint on anything. But I do have some things coming up. I've got a Dockman mic over there. I'm going to work on right after I finish this. I've got those head monitors back there. Got 2 different versions of those monitors, and the process is still evaluating them. Really digging those things so far. And I've got some other things down the pike. I've got a whole formal dining room in there with the doors closed that's stacked floor, top of the table to the ceiling with gear that I've got to get to and review and really share my thoughts on it. And if you watch my channel, I don't hold back. If I don't like something, I flat out tell you, Icon, don't buy an Icon. Those control surfaces, They're junk. Don't buy them. Stay away. Stay away. Stay with it. All right. Till next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.